collecting, biology and art. Since he was a small boy, Dan McCarron has explored and studied the natural world. Academically trained as a wildlife biologist, he attended the University of Wyoming in Laramie and enjoyed a rewarding 30-year career as a junior high school science teacher in Southwest Wyoming. During this period, Dan served on several national, state, and local boards, including 2 terms on a state wildlife advisory board. A licensed and practicing falconer, Dan has also enjoyed fly fishing the wild and scenic rivers of the American West. Somewhere along the way, he started to acquire and collect animal skulls.
Good evening. I collected my first skull when I was 12 years old. I found a road-killed house cat down the street. I skinned it, removed its head, and started boiling it on our kitchen stove. And when the odor finally got throughout the house, my mother asked me what I was doing, and it was the last time I ever boiled a skull in the house. Normally, most of the skulls that I prepared over the years, we boiled. And you can bleach them using Biz laundry bleach after you boil most of the meat off. Or you can use hydrogen peroxide. And then you can use a clear lacquer. I thought it's important to define what a skull is. A skull is either bone or cartilage encapsulating an animal's brain. And they're the vertebrates. We have fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. That's a barracuda on the left. There are some very specialized animal skulls. We have the venom-conducting teeth on venomous snakes. This is a diamondback rattlesnake. Or the tree-dwelling tropical pythons and boas have teeth for grabbing birds out of the air. And they almost look alien-like, but these animals really exist. Another famous specialized animal skull are beavers. They have these incredibly exaggerated incisors and big, heavy molars for grinding wood. And they can do quite a bit of damage. If you've ever been around a beaver dam. This is an interesting skull. This photo is only 10 days old. A friend of mine treed this lion in Idaho, got up to it, and took a picture with a cell phone and texted it to me. And it's a great illustration of the cat's formidable dental hardware. But he's only about 6 feet away from that cat when he took the picture. This is a cottontail, one of the out of herbivores, omnivores, and carnivores. This is a herbivore. They have the little nipping incisors in the front and the molars for chewing grasses and plant material. This is a black bear skull, which is an omnivore. These animals eat both plants and animal material. They have a molar, premolars and molars tooth structure, almost similar to a human's. We have these big formidable canines too for tearing and piercing flesh. So they're a generalist. These are the predators of all predators, in my opinion. This is a mink, a member of the weasel family, and they have these very sharp premolars and molars. They have knife edges on them. They're called carnasials, or cheek teeth, and they also have very pronounced knife-edged canines. Being a teacher for years, one of the things that kept me collecting skulls was I found out that this is a grizzly and a black bear, that if you put a skull with big teeth in the hands of a 13-year-old, things happen. And I also found out that the best type of learning occurs when the kids don't even know they're learning. And I ran these labs every year for 3 days. I had about anywhere from 50 to 100 skulls laid out on lab tables in 2 rooms. And the kids had to use, I gave them a list of criteria. I gave them things to identify. They had to do comparing and contrasting. They had to weigh them using the metric system. They had to use metric rulers. They also had to, I put all the rodents, I didn't put them all together. I put alligators with grizzlies, wolves with lynx and bobcats and mountain lions. And at the end of the 3 days, these kids had to group these animal skulls, and I had them all numbered on lab stations. And they had to group them and categorize them, which was a lesson in classification. This is a beaver. That is a wolf skull. That's a black bear, and I think that's a wolverine back there. I just turned the kids loose, and they exceeded my expectations. They rose above my expectations. I thought I'd tell you some stories. This is a golden eagle skull. I believe it's a male. Was collected on a sheep ranch in Wyoming in 1938 and given to me by the rancher who collected it. It's pre-act. It's legal. It was obtained legally before eagles were protected by law, so it's pre-act, so I can legally keep it. This is one of the only pictures I have of before and after. This is a bull bison that was collected on the National Elk Refuge in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. A friend of mine was running a project to cull some of the bulls on the herd, and he knew I wanted a skull, and he just dumped it in my driveway. And this is after I boiled it. This is hanging in our den here in Hutch, and that was a lot of work to clean that skull. The skull weighed over 200 pounds when he dropped it off. It was the size of a bathtub. This is one of my favorite skulls in my collection. This is a wolverine skull. This was collected and harvested by an Inuit fur trapper in Alaska. His trap line was over 100 miles long, and it took him several days to check his traps on a snow machine. He hauled a little sled, and all he trapped were wolves and wolverines. This is an interesting, I just put this together a few days ago. This is a red fox that I collected in 1975 when I was a freshman in college. This is a coyote, and that's a gray wolf, a big gray wolf, a male gray wolf from Alaska. And it shows you some scale about, now this gorgeous looking critter is a Smilodon skull. This is a saber-toothed cat cast from the largest specimen taken from La Brea tar pits in California. This was a birthday present from my wife to me. Now I ask you, are I a blessed man or what? Okay? Well, thank you.